Well, thank you all for joining us for tonight's Backpacks to Briefcases Ask a Blazer. Since we're coming to you virtually, please excuse any glitches. Also, if you experience video or audio issues, click the reconnect button at the top of your screen. This will get you back into the webinar right away. Tonight's session is part of our ongoing Backpacks to Briefcases Evergreen Certificate program. Through the series, we will host 4 Evergreen events each year, 2 in the fall and 2 in the spring. These events will focus on financial planning, workplace skills, personal branding, and personal life. Between each of those, we'll host golden electives, events like tonight's Ask a Blazer webinar, as well as lunch and learns and volunteer opportunities. To get an Evergreen certificate and lapel pin, you don't have to complete all 4 Evergreen paths and 2 golden electives all in the same year. It can happen over a period of time, so just jump on when you can. You can learn more about the Evergreen program at alumni.uab.edu/backpacks. Tonight, we're excited to welcome recipients of this year's UAB Young Alumni Rising Star Awards. First, we welcome Alicja Foksinska. Alicja graduated from the Collat School of Business and Honors College in 2015 with a double major in Information Systems and Management. Next is Dr. Sherilyn Garner. Dr. Garner received her Master of Public Health in 2014 and earned her Ph.D. in Health Education and Promotion in 2020. Both degrees are from the School of Public Health. Next is Dr. Matthew Moore. He earned both his Master of Public Health and Doctor of Public Health in Maternal and Child Health Policy and Leadership from the School of Public Health in 2017 and 2020, respectively. He also has a certificate earned through the School of Health Professions in 2020. And last but not least is Lieutenant Kandis Williams. Lieutenant Williams received her Doctor of Dental Medicine from the School of Dentistry in 2020. I want to thank everybody for joining us for tonight's webinar. Thank you so much for agreeing to be part of this Ask a Blazer kind of roundtable discussion. And I want to start just by allowing each panelist to share with us where they are now and what they're doing. And I'm going to start with Alicja, putting you on the spot, and I'm just going to go alphabetical order, last name.
Thanks, Greg. So my name's, just like Greg said, Alicja Foksinska, and I am a lead IT auditor. And I've been I've been in internal audit at Protective Life since I've graduated UAB. So I'm going to be rounding off year number 7 in January of the upcoming year.
And Dr. Garner.
Hello, everyone. I was formerly Dr. Garner. I am now Dr. Duckworth. I got married in October.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Greg. I'm currently living in Reno, Nevada, and I do a few things. I have a consulting firm, Empowered Solutions. I am the founder and executive director of a nonprofit, Birmingham-based, which is a friend of mine, MIND, and I am a COVID-19 disease team lead. I'm working under the California Department of Public Health with the CDC Foundation.
And Dr. Moore.
Hey, Matthew Moore here. So I am, as some joke with me, a lifelong student. I am still at UAB. I am a second-year student in the School of Medicine, and I also am still involved in the School of Public Health on the Alumni Advisory Board. So very much still at UAB and present here.
And last but not least, Lieutenant Dr. Williams. And we had this discussion a while back. I just never know what to call you, so we'll just go with Dr. Williams tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Greg. As Greg mentioned, I am a doctor and also a lieutenant. I go by both. I get called both all throughout the day. I graduated in 2020 from UAB School of Dentistry. I then went on to the Navy, where I currently serve as a general dentist. I'm currently stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, and I'm assigned to a ship as well. I'm actually not working on the ship just yet because it's the Navy's newest ship, so it's still in construction. So I'm currently working at one of the dental clinics on base.
Awesome. Well, we have a great wealth of experience, a great wealth of knowledge, especially when it comes to going through UAB and then transitioning to the professional careers and the student life continuing with Dr. Moore. So I want to throw this out at you, and we'll start with you, Dr. Williams. What is one thing you wish you would have been told as you began your life after graduation?
That's a good question, Greg. I would say that just to be prepared for anything. You never know what life will bring to you and what opportunities may come. Stay open-minded, stay willing to learn, stay willing to make connections. That doesn't stop. Networking doesn't stop once you've graduated. You still have to work hard, especially if you want to get promoted, whether that be in a military sense or in a civilian aspect. So continue to make those connections, continue to learn, continue to grow.
And then I'll throw things over to Dr. Garner. Dr. Moore, I'll get back to you since you have a different perspective on it. But Dr. Garner, or you've been married, but I'm going to keep calling you Dr. Garner because it's in my script. So
Yes.
What is the one thing you wish you would have been told as your life began after graduation?
It is important to network. You never know who you are going to meet, and you never know if that person will be able to open a door for you or not. I have been offered so many positions just by who I know, especially with professors from UAB. Someone would send them an email and say, hey, I'm looking for a student. Do you have anyone in mind? And that professor will send that email to me, and I interview and get the position. I mean, that's all because of the relationships that I have created and maintained with those professors by networking, like getting out and volunteering as a student, attending as many events as I possibly could as a student. I was very active as a UAB student, both in my doctorate and MPH program, and I networked a ton. And to this day, those networks, partnerships and relationships are still paying off for me. So network as much as you can. Learn more about the professors you are working with day in and day out, because they will be able to get you where you need to be, or where you want to be, rather.
And Alicja.
Oh man, I agree with those comments, because professors have some very extensive networks. They know people far and wide. So definitely get to know your professors, keep in touch with them. So I definitely echo all of that that has been said. Also, one thing that stood out to me is when you start researching companies, research the companies on the people front, on the culture front. Make sure that you don't just go by labels or big names or big companies, big corporations. I actually did not know very much about Protective Life, which of course I'm ashamed as a student when I was interviewing, but I stuck around for almost 7 years just because of all the culture that Protective has, the people that Protective has. So they might not necessarily be a big sticker company, which they are very, very big, but the brand name is growing, but it's not like an Amazon or a Google or something along those lines, which are fine companies. But find companies that are going to be aligned with your values, with your core values, with what you want, how those people are going to make you happy, because you want to be happy every single day of your career. So you don't want to go to work miserable. So that's definitely one tip that I would give.
And then Dr. Moore, we'll just flip that a little bit. What is one thing you wish you would have been told as you began life going into medical school?
Well, I think with each iteration of my education, it hasn't turned out exactly as I'd planned. You know, if you would have asked me 8 years ago what I would be doing 8 years from then, or 10 or however many years, it would not be what I'm doing now. And so I think a piece of advice that I would give myself, or maybe something I wish I would have known, is just make the best next step. Whatever your best next step is, and that's all the pieces you have, that's all the information you have, and that's what you're ready for. You're not ready for this step that's 10 steps down the road. 9 steps from now, you'll be ready for the 10th step, but today you're ready for your next best step. So it's really about identifying that and being brave enough to take it and trust that you can handle whatever's coming next.
And I'll keep the camera focused on you. This is a School of Public Health question specific, and I'll ask Dr. Garner as well. How do you navigate from School of Public Health to the professional world, or to the next step in your case?
Yeah, well, first off, I've got a nice, I'm representing here. I'm a proud alum. How do you transition? Well, I think your transition probably begins before you even leave UAB. Before I left the School of Public Health. In fact, being in the School of Public Health is what made me realize that I wanted to become a clinician. Seeing that public health has a lot of levels. Public health is not just medicine. Public health is not just the health department. Public health is not just the CDC or government or nonprofits. It's the network of all of those things working together to ensure that people are healthy and are able to live healthy lives. And so I think those thoughts began when I was a student. And I think as Dr. Garner said earlier, the networking allowed me not just to meet people, but also to be exposed to other professions and other content that made me ready to make that step, so that I kind of had a foundation from where I began when I was in school.
Yeah, I have to agree and go back to networking. Since I was a student, I've held some type of job, whether that is a research assistant, graduate assistantship, working as an intern, working alongside professors on external projects. I have always maintained relationships with professors, so I'm working. So when I graduated from UAB, I had already had a ton of experience, like 5+ years of experience in public health. So it was fairly easy for me to translate the experience I gained as a student to a working professional, even an early career professional. So if you have the opportunity to work, and you don't have to work full time, if you have the opportunity to work part time as a student, and it's manageable, please do so, because you are going to gain that invaluable experience that will translate over to your profession and your career.
So Dr. Williams, what is your best advice for a 20-something out there working hard to get to the next level?
The best advice I could give is to have a plan and write down what you want to accomplish, and then seek out people who are doing the things that you want to do. Ask them what their path was, how they got to where they are. Ask them to be a mentor to you. I've had so many mentors throughout high school, college, and dental school that have helped me get to where I am. And that looks like different people at different phases. In high school, that may have been just shadowing. In college, that may have been talking to people who were in dental school. And then knowing that I would transition from dental school to the military, and that would be a significant change in my life, I then reached out to people who were in the military. So first of all, you have to know what you want to do. And secondly, then reach out to people who have done it before and who are doing well and succeeding in their path, and follow their methods.
And Alicja, the same question your way. What is your best advice for a 20-something out there looking to work hard to get to the next level?
Oh man, all the good answers have been stolen. But I definitely agree with finding a mentor. And something that has personally worked for me is looking to ask those questions to the person who has the job that I want a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now. And how I found success in that is making sure you have a LinkedIn profile, up-to-date LinkedIn profile, and start messaging people. Obviously, don't spam the same blurb one after the other. Make sure that you're obviously interested in that person. You're obviously interested in their position. You're not asking them for a job. You're just asking them to meet for maybe 15 minutes, 30-minute virtual coffee, virtual chat. Right now, the world is virtual. I can literally call up anyone around the globe. So if there's a job that you really want out there, go on Google and literally in that search bar, start putting in keywords. Find a person, send them a message. What's the worst that they can do? Not answer the message. That's it. And you never know what that conversation could lead to, because they might know somebody, and that somebody might know somebody else. So just getting out there, getting started. LinkedIn is free. LinkedIn is readily available to you. And there's just millions upon millions of professionals who are truly happy to help you. So
follow-up question. How often are you on LinkedIn, and what do you use it for?
Oh man, I'm on there probably every day. And I'm not there to search for a job, right? A lot of people think that, or they dub LinkedIn as, I'm just going to go on there to find a job. And while it's a perfectly great tool to do that, I use LinkedIn to learn new things. So I connect with people, follow them. They post a lot of really interesting stuff. They post a lot of great articles, great videos that are relevant. They post out polls and have discussions. A lot of times I even add to discussions. It's just a really great platform to share your kind of connect with people who have very similar ideas, very similar pathways like you, because my LinkedIn looks completely different than all of the panelists here today. My LinkedIn has a lot of internal audit professionals. It has a lot of accounting information systems professionals and professors, just because that's my niche, that's my topic, a lot of data analytics and visualization. So everybody's LinkedIn just kind of formulates around those ideas. And those are the people that you surround yourself with, because those are the people that give you those ideas to even help you on with your own career. There's so many people I've connected with. I had an issue at work. I couldn't figure something out. And I was able to chat with someone for 30 minutes, and we found a great solution that I was able to implement right away into my day-to-day work. And I got a connection out of it, and we still keep in touch. So it's just a great platform to brainstorm, honestly. So it's not just a job-seeking platform.
And Dr. Moore, I'll kind of put you on the spot. Are you on LinkedIn? And as a student, how do you use it?
Oh man, I have a LinkedIn, but I think one thing Alicia said was make sure it's up to date. So I really haven't had as big of a need for LinkedIn in terms of professional networking in recent years, just due to the fact that I have been a student. And I'm really not that active in social media. I'm kind of old school as it relates to relationships and networking, and I really believe in, and now this is pre-COVID. Obviously, COVID has kind of turned everything on its head, and so virtual has kind of been the only method. But in a normal world, I'm pretty old school. I try to attend conferences that are related to my interest area. My area of research is maternal and child health, specifically maternal and infant health outcomes. So networking with people in those situations, I think LinkedIn provides definitely a broad network. Like Alicia said, you can connect with somebody from around the globe. But I think the benefit to getting to the research symposiums, getting to the career fairs, going to a conference that's in this city or maybe a nearby city, the benefit there is you have depth. You're able to meet with the person face to face. You're able to show them who you are, kind of in a social environment, not just practicing your hard skills, what you can do, but your soft skills, who you are, how you interact with other people. And honestly, I'm not sure how utilized LinkedIn is for physicians. I know one thing a lot of physicians use in a similar capacity, as Alicia was saying, with kind of learning from other professionals. A lot of doctors actually have a Twitter. They call it a med Twitter, and there's a lot of talk that goes on their med Twitters. They'll post articles, or they'll post research that they've recently viewed. They'll post their reactions, different policies or new drugs or anything like that. So I know that's kind of more in the medical sphere, but yeah, LinkedIn, I know it's a really powerful tool.
So Dr. Garner, I will ask you, networking can sometimes feel awkward for people, and you may feel like you're just using somebody to get to the next level. So how can you form a real relationship with professionals in a field?
Oh, very good question, Greg. And I'm going to start with just a disclaimer. We all have different personalities, right? So my answer may not be fitting for the listeners out there. I'm a very outgoing person. So I'm very comfortable speaking to strangers. I'm very comfortable networking. And one thing that I have found that works really well for me is when I'm open and transparent with whoever I'm networking with. I let them know my experiences, whether that be about my mental health, about me being a first generation college student, about me not really knowing what I wanted to do when I entered undergraduate. and had to spend 7 years as an undergrad because I just did not know what I wanted to do. So just being completely open and transparent with whoever it is, letting them know that, no, I do not have all of the answers, but I'm easy to teach. You know, I'm willing to learn. I'm quickly to adapt. I'm extremely flexible. I'm letting them know that if they provide me with an opportunity, I will not disappoint. I will do my very best, not only to be successful in whatever role it is, but to make their companies successful as well. So be open, be transparent, be honest, and don't be shy, you know, because the same people who you are networking with have been where you are. You know, they have too been students. They have too have had to network with others to get where they are. So, I mean, just know you're not alone. Like, we all have to form these relationships to make sure that we are building our interpersonal skills to strengthen our careers.
And Dr. Williams, I'll pose you the same question just because you have a different perspective being in the military, but how do you form genuine relationships in that world so you can carry those on to the next level?
So the first thing that I did when joining the military as active duty as a general dentist, I continued my education. So within the military, I completed a residency program, which was an advanced education and general dentistry program. And so that is essentially just 1 year of working on becoming a better general dentist and focusing on specific specialties within general dentistry. But in that, I was able to have 9 other co-residents who had just graduated dental school as well. So to be in the same space with 9 other people who had just graduated. And then also we had 2 program directors. So just that alone gave me a network to jumpstart my career within the military. And this wasn't a mandatory program. It was optional. But I felt like going into something that was foreign to me, going into the military, that would be a good stepping stone for me. So for me, that was how I entered the military and gave myself kind of a network from the beginning. And I do still interact with my co-residents. And if I have any questions now, as I'm a solo practitioner on my ship, I can reach out to any of them with a question or even reach out to my program directors, and they're happy to help me.
And Alicja, since you're active on LinkedIn, how do you keep it real, especially when you're in person?
So, well, in person, being in person is very powerful as well. So while I have that virtual kind of profile where I keep it very real because I post very personal things, things that make me excited. I make sure that all of my posts that I put out there are genuine, that if it doesn't feel genuine, no one else is going to think that it's genuine. So I am truly proud of a lot of things, or proud of all the things that I post about, and I'm very excited about different projects I work on. So hopefully that is also seen through my virtual kind of appearance. But on the personal or in-person side, I definitely agree that having in-person conversations is very important. Attending those conferences. So I know if you're going on to the academia side, there's a lot of conferences there, but there's also a ton of conferences on the professional side. And they are put on by these professional organizations that one of them I'm actually part of, which is a professional organization for IT audit, IT risk and IT governance, IT security. And it's called ISACA. It's a global organization, but we have a local chapter. And I actually started working and being on the board of that organization right out of school. And the reason I wanted to be on the board was to, number one, get to know people in our Birmingham community. There's so many IT professionals in our Birmingham community, and they all come to these meetings because they have to get their educational credit in order to keep their professional certifications. So whether they want to attend or not, they have to have this credit. So they come to these meetings, and it's very easy to get to know them. But being on the board also gives that one more step of working hard. And a lot of people see, okay, they want to step up in their career. They want to get more involved. And one of my favorite jobs, and I always give this as kind of a tip to make networking a little less awkward, and that is make sure whatever job you have, work the name tag table. So whoever passes out the name tags, you be that person, because everyone has to come to you. Everyone has to check in with you. They have to get their name tags. And the added bonus is you get to know their names. They get to see your name. You get to say, hey, my name is Alicja. Welcome to our conference. Welcome to our event. What is your name? And then you get to check it off. You get to start doing the, okay, I've met you, and you meet them without having that awkward, like, hey, let me shake your hand type of situation, right? All of a sudden you have met everybody that's attending an event or attending a conference, or at least a subset of people. So now whenever you have those kind of off, the little gatherings or a break, you can come up to those people and say, hey, Greg, how are you enjoying this conference? I really love X, Y, and Z, because you've already made that soft connection with them. So that's my major tip, because I got to, even though it's a little job on the board, that was my first job when I started on the board right after school, or right after college. And then I got to grow into different levels. And right now I'm currently serving as the president of that organization. So now everyone gets to see, they kind of saw me grow over the last 7 years, honestly. And now they see me like, okay, she is serious about her career, and she grew through this professional network and through this kind of chain of command within this organization. And that's how I started to network. And now a lot more people know me, especially now being in the presidency role, where I have to stand up in front of the entire membership of about 300 people. So they get to know me, they get to know my face, they hear my voice all the time during the meetings. And that also helps a lot with networking.
So, Dr. Garner, what is the best way to find mentors in your career field or any career field? And should you ask somebody to be the mentor and grow the relationship that way, or wait until someone offers and then starts providing that advice?
Research. When I first started my Ph.D. program at UAB, I was assigned a mentor, and we had absolutely nothing in common. And so I had to do a little research on other professors in the department, and I submitted a letter saying, hey, I would like to change mentors because this person and I have more in common, and I would like to work with this person because of the research that they are doing. So now, as a new resident of Reno, I've had to do the same thing. I've had to research who share my common interest of mental health and just overall promoting public health. And I found a lady, and I just so happened we had a mutual friend, and this mutual friend introduced us. And during our first conversation, my mentor now was telling me about all of the things that she has done, and she was wondering what do I want to do with a friend of mine here in Reno, and what do I want to do outside of a friend of mine. So towards the end of our conversation, I just asked, I said, will you please be my mentor? And she said, yes. She said, I would love to. And I said, thank you. So again, just being upfront. Throughout that conversation, I had already started to build a rapport with her. I was very transparent about why I'm so passionate about mental health. I was transparent with my experiences. I told her that I had already, started to make some connections here in Reno. So I let her know that, hey, I'm in need of a mentor, but I have already started to do the work to promote mental health and public health in Reno. And that's what, that let her know that I'm just not looking for a mentor just to have one. I'm looking for a mentor to strengthen my skills in mental health and public health. So ask, if you have done your research and you know someone who share the same interests with you, who is doing similar work as you, you think would be a good fit, reach out to that person. If you cannot get connected to that person, reach out to someone who may be able to get connected to that person. And again, this goes back to network, because you never know who knows who and who will be able to open certain doors for you.
And you kind of touched on it. You knew somebody that opened that door. That's something my parents taught me. My wife and I are teaching our kids. Dr. Moore, have you found that to be true in medical school as well?
Oh, certainly. And especially in a community like Birmingham, people know each other, but you'd be surprised. I go other places and it's 1 or 2 degrees of separation. And so those relationships can really carry over. And I think that's an important thing about mentorship is really finding a mentor that's not just cares about what you do, but why you're doing it and how you're doing it, because they're more invested in you as a person than they are in you as a product. That kind of mentor will really see you through and want to make those connections for you. As I say, I moved across the street. The School of Public Health is across the street from the School of Medicine. But as I moved across the street, I had connections at the School of Public Health who said, "Oh, have you met so and so? Have you met so and so?" And even while I was in public health, I'd interacted with some physicians. But that cross pollination, as is said, at least in my field, cross pollinating across disciplines, across fields, you really do make those connections. And mentors are critical in bridging those gaps, because sometimes certain people that might be someone you're interested in getting to know, or maybe not being a full-time kind of a full-fledged mentor, but at least somebody you want to learn from, that connection can be a little hard to make. So sometimes it's kind of 1 or 2 people away. But yeah, I definitely think those people have kind of linked me along the way as I progressed.
So, Dr. Williams, over to you. How would you go about finding a mentor? What tips, suggestions do you have?
So personally, I found mentors in a few different ways. One would be through attending conferences and being a part of certain organizations. So in dental school, I was a part of the Student National Dental Association. I was the vice president locally, and then also I got involved nationally. And really nationally is what made the big difference for me, because I was able to meet dental students from all over the country. And then often their faculty would also be involved in the conferences as well. And so just being there and being at the conferences, I know we're in a different time now with COVID and not being to interact as much in person, but I found that to be very helpful. When I transitioned to the military, we had a talk from the career planner of the entire dental corps. And she's an African-American female, and she's a captain, which is pretty much the highest rank you can reach as a dentist within the military. And I just thought she was amazing. I thought her talk was great, and she provided us with her email at the end of the talk, and I just shot my shot. And I sent her an email and I said, "Hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm about to do. And I would love if you would be my mentor." And that was about 1.5 years ago. And she said, "Yes, absolutely." And we've been in contact and in touch ever since. So I think what was said earlier about really just being confident, being transparent about who you are, and shooting your shot. The worst they can say is no, or maybe, I'm too busy right now, but at least you gave it a try.
So, Dr. Garner, doubling back to you now, as somebody that's looking to find a mentor, what should you be looking for, and what should you expect that mentor to provide?
Oh man. So definitely someone who shares your same interests, someone who is genuine, just as Dr. Williams just stated, someone who has time. Because if that mentor does not have time, you're wasting your time, because you're going to need a mentor who is able to dedicate some time to you and to helping you reach your goals that you want to reach. Another thing that I will look for in a mentor is someone who is well established. It won't do either of you any good to get a mentor who is not as established as you would like to be one day. And I say that simply because mentors with tons of experience, they have learned so much and they have so much to share, as opposed to someone with less experience and is still working towards getting to where that other person is. And transparency. You know, if you feel like this is not a good fit for you, please be open with that mentor. You know, let them know that, you know, hey, I do not believe this is a good fit for me. And be honest about why you believe it is not a good fit. If you believe they are not dedicating enough time and resources to mentor you, be respectful. You can say it in a respectful way and say just that, because that mentor may be under the impression that they are providing you with what you need, and that may not be what you need. So let them know that it's not working for you, because mentorships are a two-way street. You know, and make sure that you ask for feedback from that mentor. Make sure that you are doing everything that you need to be doing to progress. That your mentor may have feedback that he or she is reluctant to give because you just haven't been meeting with them, or you haven't been as dedicated to the mentorship as they have been. So make sure before you go and ask for a mentor that you too have the time to be a mentee.
So one of the big phrases that's really come along over the last few years in the professional world is work-life balance. So Alicja, how can somebody take steps early in their career to create a work-life balance? Because they're wanting to impress, they want to get in, they want to dive in there. So how can you actually do that? How can you attain that?
What a great question. It's all about setting boundaries, personal boundaries, and truly being comfortable in saying no and picking and choosing the most important things in your life, and not being afraid to be a little selfish. Like you are supposed to take care of yourself. I know that a lot of you might have families that you're also taking care of, but literally every single hour of your day is precious. And how I did it was I created a list of the most important things in my life. And that's starting with the most important people. Make sure that you allocate time for them, because you don't want to say, all right, most important, work, this organization, that organization, and then like my partner or my family, right? because then you're going to run out of time. Like that, if your family is the most important, you put that on top of your list. And what I've learned over the years, it's not necessarily a work-life balance, it's a work-life blend. Just because with nowadays, with us being virtual, literally if anyone can call me at any time, shoot me a text message, shoot me an email, it's on me to block that out and save it until 8 in the morning tomorrow or whenever my day starts. Unless I got to get stuff done, unless I have a deadline. So it really is a blend, because what I've learned is when you start listing out those key important things, and I usually list out 8 to 10 max, what is the most important thing? And you have to list out like your health. So do you want to have good physical health and physical activity? Then you got to list that out. Do you want to be involved in religious organizations and be spiritual? You have to list that out. And then allocate the hours throughout the day, or percentages throughout the day, or kind of your week of where you're going to allocate that time. If you want to train for a marathon, you obviously will have to put more time. And if you put more time to training for a marathon, something has to give, because you only have 100%. You cannot give 110 because you only have 100%. So if let's say your physical health is at a 20, but you got to crank it up to a 30 because you're training for a marathon, you're going to have to give 10% from somewhere. So you have to communicate with people. You got to communicate with friends or with other activities that you have in that blend. And something will have to just kind of shift. And then after your marathon, you focus on something else. So that's kind of how I have structured my life, more of a blend, and monitoring where I have to shift that blend because I'm focusing on something, something more big, a project. And for example, currently In the past 2 years, I've been writing a textbook for accounting information systems. And let's just say writing a textbook has been one of the hardest things I have done in my life in my spare time. After work, I've been just writing a textbook with 2 other wonderful co-authors. So the 3 of us have been writing or creating this product, 19 chapters. But because of that has taken up so much time that I had wonderful friends and family who have been very patient and understanding. And I didn't go to every single social event. I had to say no to a lot of things. I had to do a step back on certain things because I was putting kind of a lot of my time and effort into that. But as we're nearing our launch and publication, that time is going to now shift towards other things. So now I get to focus my time on other things, on the people I love and want to be around. So every single season of your life, that blend is going to change.
Dr. Garner, you say that you prioritize self-care. What other steps do you suggest taking to create that work-life balance?
Being open, I know I've said being open and transparent a lot tonight, but I'm a very open and transparent person. My husband, the guy who y'all have seen walking passing by the screen, he knows I prioritize self-care. And he knows, like, when I'm out on my day for self-care, that is my day. You know, either him or our nanny have the kids, that's not my time right there. So just being open with my husband and saying, hey, I need this time for myself. Because if I don't take care of myself, I'm no good to you guys. You know, I prioritize my mental health now, not only because I have depression and anxiety, but because I understand that if I do not prioritize my mental health and prioritize self-care, I'm going to be a mess. And even with my employer, if I need a mental health day, I let them know just that. Hey, I need a mental health day today, so I'll see y'all in a day or so. Simply because, hey, look, if I have to wake up and clock in and I'm not in the mood, I've had a bad day or whatever the case may be, I'm not going to be any good to my employer. So letting them know that I do need that time away from work to just focus on myself. And most of the time, it's just me lying in bed watching TV or reading a book. But it's just that relaxation and me prioritizing myself to do absolutely nothing but relax, especially when my body tells me to. So just being open with those around you when you need a break, when you need to take care of yourself. And like Alicia said, be selfish a little bit. You know, it is completely okay to prioritize self-care. You know, I'm so happy that we live in a generation now where more and more people are understanding why mental health is so important. So more and more people are taking these mental health days. More and more people are prioritizing self-care. And I'm happy, I'm relieved, because it goes to show that people are understanding, you know, that there's only so much that their mind and body can do. There's only so much that a person can take before a breakdown occurs. So just being aware of all of those things, being aware that mental health is just as important as physical health, and self-care impacts your mental health, especially if there's a lack of self-care. Greg, I don't know if I answered your question because I just started babbling there, but that's my take on it.
That is all good. Dr. Williams, how about you? Being in the military, is there a work-life balance in your world, and how do you achieve it?
Well, I will say we don't really have mental health days. You got to come to work in the military. But when I'm not at work, I'm not at work. I shut it off and I make time for things that are important to me. Like I like to go get my hair done. I like to get my nails done. So that's going to happen for me every week, every other week, you know, as often as I have time to do it. But those are the things that are important to me that I prioritize, of taking care of myself, making myself feel good. And like Dr. Garner was saying, sometimes I just don't want to do anything. I just want to sit on this couch and turn on the TV and just relax. And that can be my me time. So when I'm at work, I give it 100%. But when I'm not, I definitely take time for myself.
I love the varying backgrounds of the panel. I mean, somebody in the military, some are professionals. And then Dr. Moore, you're a student, and in medical school, the way I envision it is you don't have any time for work-life balance. How do you achieve it?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of great things everyone said. I don't call it, Alicia calls it a work-life blend. I call it really a work-life balancing act because the pieces are always fluctuating. And those of you listening, a lot of you are students. And so you know that when you get home, you have things to do, you have assignments to do. And really, that's transitioning to just our world in general with virtual kind of hybrid work models. Your work, you can't leave it at work because work is the room next door. It's your kitchen table. It's an office in your bedroom. And so those boundaries, as was mentioned earlier, are really important. I think in medical school and as a student, I think what's made me successful as a student, as a career student, is recognizing that I can set up my day like it is a job. I can establish my hours. And part of that starts with me knowing when I work the best. I think part of maximizing that work-life balance is when you're at work, being at work. That way, when you're not at work, you don't have to worry about it because you've done your due diligence and you've done your job. So this thing right here, he goes away on Do Not Disturb because if I get disturbed, my train of thought is gone, and whatever I was learning or working on, I have to spend twice the amount of time getting back to the task. Another thing that I try to push to people that I talk to and mentor is we often view kind of taking a break and rest as the antagonist to productivity. In our world, it's all about productivity. What can you achieve? What can you do? But I really don't think that they're antagonists. I think that rest is actually part of being productive. And without taking a break from your work, your productivity actually sinks. And so you have to take a step back. And like Dr. Garner said earlier, listen to your body, listen to your mind. When you need to stand up, walk around, get some fresh air, eat a snack, those things are really important. And they're going to maximize your ability to work, be productive, but also your ability to be happy and to be human, to interact with the people that you do work with. And I think that's true when you're a student. I think that's true when you're a professional. It's really just being a real human being.
I'm going to get heavy here for two of you. Student, military, you're out because I don't think this really applies to you. So I'll start with you, Alicia. How do you go about asking for a raise? And Dr. Garner, you're next, so start thinking.
That's a good one. Great question. So number one, you got to do your research. So you have to do research on different websites. Different websites provide different ranges. You have to do some research on LinkedIn. And the key is to research the area. So you can't just say, I live in Birmingham, but I want to make the money of California. Of course, if you look for remote jobs, you might be able to swing that. But if you're actually working locally, physically in an office, you're going to have to look for wages that are going to be reasonable for that location. So that's number one. Do some research before you start attempting that conversation. A lot of companies do have a strict bucket, salary bucket. So there is some negotiation, but some of them might have to keep you within a certain bracket of salary. So don't get discouraged. Just like it was said before, shoot your shot, but because it will not hurt. However, sometimes they do have to remain within the brackets that they have, especially if the company is global and they have rules within it. And then I would say is what you have to bring to the table is the value add that you have added in the past year, and not just say, I showed up for work, because that's not value add. That's your responsibility. That's what you've been hired to do. Look beyond your job description, look beyond your job responsibilities. What have you done in the past year or in the past couple of years that were standout, that were above and beyond? and not just say, oh, I've done a lot of projects that were above and beyond. Bring a list that names exactly. So last year I worked on this and this project, and this project resulted in this and this, and have actual metrics behind it. Because the more data that you bring to the table, the more prepared you're going to be, the more you have a case for it, right? So make sure that you're bringing that very detailed to the table, and then also add as a bonus track, I guess, what I would like to call is, how are you going to add value in the coming years? So not only what you did in the past, because this is not the time to prop up your legs and say, my job is done. Now you gave me the raise, I'm going to sit around. But what are you going to do in the next 1 to 3 years? A lot of times companies ask you for kind of a vision, for 3 to 5 year vision. I know it changes all the time, but at least give them a roadmap. So in the next 3 years, I plan to achieve this, this, and this, and these are the metrics I want to hit that are way beyond what you envision for me within the regular job that you have hired me for. So having done the research, bringing in that information into the discussion will definitely help and facilitate that conversation.
And Dr. Garner, I know that was a lot, but what would you add, which is great, don't get me wrong, what would you add to that list?
Normalizing that it is okay to ask for a raise. I think many times people think that if they ask for a raise, then maybe their hours will get cut, or they'll lose their job, or their boss will no longer like them, whatever the case may be. But no, it is completely normal to ask for a raise. And just like it was stated, before you go in and ask for a raise, please make sure that you are worthy of that raise you are requesting. What have you done for that company since you have been hired? If you've been there for a month, it is not a good time to ask for a raise. So knowing the best time to ask for a raise. For me, I'm research. I like to make goals for myself in whatever position that I'm in. I like to make goals, even if it's not required by the employer, but I like to make goals and I like to achieve those goals. So when I go and ask the CDC Foundation for a raise next year, because I plan to do just that, I will be able to say, hey, since I have been employed with you guys for 2 years now, I have done A, B, C. And with me doing A, B, and C, it has had this impact. Like, what impact have my work had on not only my team members, but the public, because we work day to day with the public. So how is my work impacting and promoting public health? And what does this mean for the CDC Foundation? So being able to put all of those things in writing and say, this is why I deserve a raise. I haven't asked for one yet. I'm asking for one now because I have done ABC, and I feel as if I deserve it. And just as it was also stated, have that plan for the future. I will continue to do this, or I have plans on doing this in my role. I'm thinking about, expanding my department. I want to bring in a new program. I want to add an evaluation component. Whatever the case may be, you have to make yourself valuable to that employer, so they can say, hey, we have this money. She deserves a raise. Let's give her a raise. And it's always good if they give you a raise without you having to ask for it. So timing, doing your research, knowing that you do deserve a raise, knowing that your raise is a reasonable ask, like it was just stated. If you live in rural Alabama, do not expect a California raise or salary. That is just not going to happen. So just being reasonable, again, being open and transparent. And if that company is unable to provide you with a raise at that time, ask questions. Okay, so maybe the company is doing some restructuring and they just don't have the funds at that time. But 3 to 6 months later, they may have those funds. So don't just take a no as a permanent no. You may still be able to get that raise, just not then. So just being aware of all of those things and making sure that you are asking for a raise because you deserve it, and not just because you want more money.
And Dr. Garner, can somebody volunteer or contribute with a friend of mine?
Oh, great question, Greg. Thank you for asking that. So I'm going to put our website in the chat here. We are always looking for interns, volunteers, donations, shares on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. You know, that helps us out a lot as well. And word of mouth. We have received so much just from people saying, hey, go check out a friend of mine. So if you just say that, I appreciate that.
And that is a friend of mine, mind with a D,
yes.
.org. All right. So
that is correct.
We're going to start winding things down here. And Dr. Williams, as you're drinking your cup of coffee, your cup of tea, hot chocolate, whatever it is you're doing, how important is it to stay active with the UAB National Alumni Society as well as UAB?
I think it's extremely important. I wouldn't have the opportunity to be on this panel with you guys if I wasn't a part of it. I'm able to interact with people from different disciplines because of it. Instead of a lot of times I'm just in my dental bubble or healthcare professional bubble. But it's important to learn about people who are in other fields, because I can't just exist in life as a dentist. I need a financial advisor. I need a mental health provider. I need a medical doctor. I need all of these things to function in life, and maybe even my patients may need it. Maybe I can refer my patients to some of these people. So I think that's super important and super valuable. It's a way to stay in touch with like-minded people, whether or not they're in the same discipline as you. And I think they have some very, very valuable programs as seen by what we're doing tonight.
Dr. Moore, to you, why is it important to stay in contact and involved with the National Alumni Society as well as the university? Oh, you're on mute.
I muted myself all night. And here we go. UAB is a phenomenal institution. And when you're in Birmingham, it's hard to recognize that, but we have some world-class programs across the university. And the resources are only increasing, the opportunities, the connections. And as UAB continues to advance, you want to be a part of that. So staying involved with NAS, staying involved with your school, alumni connections with your professors, those are all really valuable things as UAB continues to support not only its current students, but also its alums.
Dr. Garner, your turn. Why is it important to stay involved? You mentioned in the chat, it's opened several doors for you.
Yes, from scholarships, again, to being here on this panel with you guys, networking, giving me opportunities to network with people who are not in my discipline, but they know someone who is in my discipline, and they were able to connect me to those individuals. So network. I cannot stress how important networking is. And when you are a part of an organization like NAS or UAB itself, you have opportunities to be connected with people internationally. Don't take these opportunities for granted. There's just so much that UAB and NAS has to offer for you. I mean, it may be a slow season because of COVID. You know, I was looking at the question that was asked. I wouldn't give up. If you are a part of the organization now, I would just stick with it. I was a junior board member for NAS when they had it, and it was one of the best experiences I've had living in Birmingham. You know, I got to do fundraising. I got to meet people I wouldn't have met if I wasn't a part of their board. So network. It opens doors. It provides many opportunities that will benefit you not only as a student, but as an early career professional.
And while the change has been made from a junior board, we still have a Young Alumni Council. And if anybody's interested, for those that are in the room watching, those nominations will open up in the first quarter of next year. Alicja, I'll end with you. Why is it important to stay connected with the National Alumni Society as well as the university?
So a couple things. Number one, being involved in the university, I've always dreamed of being a professor. And those dreams are coming true right now because I get to instruct 2 classes at the Collat School of Business and just fulfill those dreams after work. So that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't connected and plugged in with my professors and with those professors who believed in me and gave me a chance and gave me those 2 classes. And I'm just honored to be able to be in the classroom and teach students. So that's kind of the professional side of things. And then more on the personal side of things, if I didn't attend certain alumni society events, I wouldn't have met my future husband, actually. I just got engaged in about a month ago in November, but I actually met him outside of the National Alumni Society tailgates at Legion Field. And I wouldn't have met him in school, but our paths have crossed at an alumni event. And then our paths started crossing at the Collat School of Business alumni events, at the employee-employer, whenever we come to schools to recruit. He was one of the employers. I was one of the employers. Once again, paths are crossing. And that's kind of how I met my future husband. So that's, I guess, the personal side of things. You never know. You might meet the love of your life at a UAB event.
And congratulations on that engagement. Thank you so much to each of you, Alicja, Dr. Garner, Dr. Moore, Dr. Williams. Thank you so much for being part of tonight's panel, for sharing your insight with us, and just taking time out of your day, because work-life balance, work-life blend, balancing act, whatever we want to say, this is your time. So we do appreciate you being here with us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So be sure to join us for other upcoming webinars. Next Thursday, December 9th, we will welcome the director of the Amelia Center, Robert Smith, for grief and the holidays, tips and strategies on how to cope. Learn to create new traditions while honoring old traditions and memories. Then the following Thursday, December 16th, join us for Holiday Mixology 101. That evening, we'll welcome Ryan Abrams from Paper Doll Bar as we learn how to make cocktails to impress our family and friends this holiday season. Finally, on Thursday, January 6th, be part of Intermittent Fasting. Should I really eat breakfast? Dr. Courtney Peterson will show the different types of intermittent fasting and whether it really helps us lose weight and improve health. Check out all the webinars, register online at alumni.uab.edu/events. Let us help get you through your day or commute. Listen in on the UAB Green and Told podcast, and be sure to go back to episode 11 when we had Alicja Foksinska on the podcast. This alumni podcast showcases members of the UAB community and can be downloaded on Spotify and the Apple Podcast app. And be sure to stay on top of everything alumni on social media. We are UAB Alumni on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We talked a lot about LinkedIn. For us, just search for UAB Alumni Career Community. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And as always, go Blazers.